I've got the post. Always exciting. Just been discussing with people whether a sail is on tomorrow, but there's one or two that are saying that they might go, but I just don't particularly fancy anchoring out in 30 knots. I'd have to have a very good look at the anchorage and see what it's from, where the wind's from. I think it's a westerly, so Moylvra would be all right in a westerly. I don't know, I've never anchored there overnight, so I'm not sure what the holding is like for my boat in, you know, and I think to go there in my boat and the first time I anchor there would be in, you know, a lot of wind, might just be a little bit reckless. We'll see. I might go, but at the minute my inclination is no thanks. God, blimey, this is flipping horrible. Look at that. Good grief. Oh. When I was up the mast yesterday, I had this fender tied to the bottom of the spinnaker halyard because I was using that as my safety line, and you need a bit of weight on the bottom of it so that when you slide your ascender up, it doesn't just pull the rope up with you. So that fender is now swinging around because I was negligent and I didn't pack it away at the time. So I'm going to go outside and do it now. Wish me luck, because as you can see, it is brutal out there. Look at that. That's horrid. Horrid. This is the issue, I say, with the sliding hatch. Some water was getting in the cover that covers up this outside, and it kind of slides down here, and then it kind of drips off here, and it runs along here, and then it drips down there. And if I leave the window open for some ventilation, it drips in the window. And it's still got a bit of water in there, so there must still be a little bit of a leak there, so I want to find that and fix it. Right, let's go and move that fender. There we go. Can you see me? Yes, you can see me. Right. This is horrible. What I really wish though now is that I'd finished the job on, well, that I was a bit further along on the job with the anemometer, because I can't actually tell how fast the wind is blowing. And I suppose I can look on this. I'm sure there's a local live feed somewhere somebody was telling me about, but I'd love to know how fast it's actually blowing. But either way, I mean, it's predicted 50 knots around this time, and I don't think it's far off that. It's probably 35 to 45, I would say, in all reality, but I don't know. Give me your best guess in the comments. So today is a day for watching Stranger Things Season 5, drinking lots of tea, and I might go to the shop and buy some stuff to make pancakes. water's running down here from the hatch, and then it's dripping and running along there, look. And I can't see where it's coming in. Well, that's annoying, because what I did yesterday hasn't fixed it, and I thought it did. Story of my life. You think you fix something, you think you're doing the right thing, and it turns out you're doing the wrong thing. Story of my life. Right, let's find something just to mop that up for a minute. So with all this horrible weather, I'm looking for jobs to do inside the boat, and there's plenty of them. The anchor windlass isn't working, so I couldn't really have gone out and anchored overnight anyway, because yeah, you can handball the anchor up in an emergency. I'm fully aware of all the methods to get you know, put on a hook and take it back to a cockpit winch and all of that stuff. I'm fully aware of all the ways to get your anchor up if your anchor windlass fails. But I think it is a reckless man who, my phone's going mad. I think it's a reckless man who goes out knowing that their anchor windlass isn't working on what is a very windy weekend. So I've got one of these. Whale sent me this 2 years ago now, and I've never got round to fitting it. It's the Whale Gulper shower pump, and we don't often shower on the boat. We tend to shower in the Marina, but obviously when we are out at anchor, which we're hoping to be again next season, we were at anchor a lot last season, we want to have this fitted, because then you can shower off. And it's kind of interesting because this kind of fits in the shower base where your plug would be. That there is the trigger that tells this to go and suck the water out, and then the water goes up that pump, up that pipe, and is pulled out by this one and chucked overboard. So I'm looking at how to fit that in our bilge, which is, it's currently just a shallow bilge under the grating in the heads. So this is the grating I'm talking about. Under this grate in the heads there's a shallow bilge, which did just have a little manual bilge pump on, which you just turn on and off there, but that's long since been... Shut up, Siri. Siri found it on the web. So I'm going to there's only a tiny little bit of water in there just from hand washing and what have you. I'm going to mop that out and then have a look at how to mount how best to mount that whale suction bit. Okay, so let me tell you my cunning plan. I'm just going to dry that whole area. I'm going to sand it. I can't film that because there's no way to position the camera to show you how I'm filming it. And then I'm going to put expanding foam in there, and I'm going to put a plastic membrane on top of the expanding foam so that I can press it into the correct shape, and I'm going to push the fitting for the plug thingy me what's it in through the membrane at the top into the expanding foam, so that the foam forms around it as it's setting. I can then shape that foam and then fiberglass over it, so that it'll effectively make a fiberglass shower tray that is formed to both that shape and the shape of my pluggy thing. So this is now being filled with spray foam. This whole area has now been filled with expanding spray foam. So if I now put this in position where I want it to be, say there, I actually pull my membrane up a little bit higher this side. There we go. And the membrane is a material that won't stick to the spray foam. Now I can push my bilge pump, whatchamacallit, into the foam, like so. In fact, a bit further that way. And I can clean this up afterwards, of course, but that will make a natural divot. And then I'm going to put a board on top to create the shower tray kind of base. Right. And then I'll put a weight on that overnight. Okay, it's the next morning. Let's have a look at how we've got on. Right, it's the next morning. Let's have a look at how our foam is looking. Worst case scenario, I'd dig it all out and start again, but I don't think so. I think it'll be all right. Have a look. Here's my top membrane. There's my bit of shelf that I used to form the flat base. There we are. Now, do you see what I mean? That is now embedded in this. I can pull that out and nothing's stuck to it because it's not, but it'll sit in that little divot, and that hasn't quite set yet. But that basically provides my shower tray, so that this will then, once I've fiberglassed over it, that will sit in there, and all the water from the shower will run down into this corner. Obviously I've got to just slice this away and tidy it up and then fiberglass over it. The storm has passed. All that horrible wind has gone and it's a nice day, but the fella on the boat next door just came out and asked for some help, and we've just dragged this out the marina. It was bumping against next door's boat, and it's what, 8 foot long, probably weighs about 150 kilos plus, I would have thought. So we've managed to get a rope round either end and hoik it onto the pontoon. I think we're going to need to get a trolley and try and get it up to the top yard, and then we can chop it up and get rid of it. But we don't want that floating around damaging people's boats, do we? So I'm going to nip up and need my fob. I'm going to nip up and see the lads and see if we can get a few of us, because it'll take a bit of effort to get that into a trolley, I think. It's an absolutely fantastic day now. Beautiful. Today's the day that I could go at the mast and do that wiring, but I can't do that on my own because I'm going to need to feed the cables in from the top while somebody pulls the mousing line from the bottom, or to the way round. But yeah, I'm here by myself. Plus, I'm not really ready. I haven't sort of made up the connections and soldered everything properly, and by the time I do that, you know, well, we'll see. I might get that done today. It all depends on, I'm in the middle of other jobs. I've got some other editing work now as well, So a lot of people say, why don't you get a proper job? We have proper jobs. I'm doing editing work for another company, so I'm doing a lot of film work for them, and today I've set aside for editing, so I can't just bunk off that and start going up my mast to do things for me, because I've got another job. So yeah, that's the way the world works, isn't it? So now, do you see how that's going to work? I've been shaping that foam, and I'm going to glass over it. The sorry about the light. That thing there is the pickup, and there's going to be a piece of fiberglass separate that I will shape to hold that in place so that I can service it. And I've got my little channel here for the outlet pipe and this the trigger cable to go through. So it needs a bit more of a clean up, a little bit more sort of fettling and work, and then I can glass that in, and hopefully this will be a good solution. And then of course this sits underneath the wooden grate that goes on top, so you won't see any of this anyway. It's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm still working. I've got Stranger Things season 5 on in the background. I'm making coffee, and I'm just about to start this epoxying. Because it's 1 o'clock in the morning, it's dark, so I'm not going to try and film me doing it. You've all seen people putting fiberglass on stuff before, but I'll do the fiberglassing and then I'll show you it. But I'm tired and I've kind of had enough for today. So I'm just going to do the job and then get on with it and show you it in a second. But yeah, I need coffee, and hopefully if this goes well it'll be dry by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then I can paint it the following day. And then I've got to make the piece that goes over the little trough bit where the suction section is. I'm not explaining this very well. It'll all become obvious, I hope, as it, you know, as I progress through the job. Right, I hope that gives you the idea. Basically that's foam sculpted to the right shape and then fiberglassed over. I'm going to roll it out with that aluminium roller now, and that's what it's like, you know, having been rolled out and left to go hard overnight. So what I've got to do next is clean up around the edges. That's obviously just sat there, so I'll have another panel that this will sit into. So all the water will drain down into this divot and then get pumped out up there. I can't paint it yet because I've got to leave it several days for that to properly, you know, cure and what have you. Then I'll give it a clean up and a sand, and I'll paint it with some probably some Jotun Hardtop XP. But you won't be standing on that, you'll be standing on that. You'll be standing on that shower tray. Talcum powder on the so that's the nature of the bilge pump in the shower now. Coming back to that once that's hardened off and I've had the chance to paint it. Right, good morning everybody. I'm up here in the workshop. I've come up to the workshop to do some more sanding. Have a look at this. And this is now what the river table is now looking like. Look, it's not finished being polished yet, but it's getting there. So I'm sort of getting it to a smudge on there. I'm sort of getting it to a glass-like finish, but you can see this is the sea and this is the sky, So I've got a bunch more polishing to do, but it's not bad at all. Now, people's concern about the bark, well, this wooden structure underneath actually joins the bark to the and it's all epoxied all the way across, so I can't see that being a problem. But look, I think that's looking really, really cool. But the weather has changed. I'm going to take you outside. You're not going to hear very much, but look at what the situation is like outside today. Holy schmoly, Batman! Look at this! Wow! This is high tide. You probably can't hear very much because of the wind, and I'm filming this on my phone. So no, I haven't got a dead cat on my phone. I only came up to the workshop to do some sanding. But look at this. Wow. There's Ocean Melody over there. Still got my mast ladder up, but no, I shall not be going up the mast in this weather. Good grief. And believe it or not, this is a very sheltered marina. It's just the wind direction and the state of tide is making this quite dramatic. Wow. Let's go down to the water's edge and have a look down there. Let's put that chain back. Do you fancy fueling up in this? Hey? Now, while I was up in the workshop, the wind has picked up a lot, and Eamon has just been to tell me that my hydrovane is potentially rubbing against the pontoon because I'm moored stern to, so that's a bit of a worry. So I'm going to go and check that. Hopefully that's better. Hopefully it's not anything serious, but I might have to try and winch the boat forward slightly. It's just the wind direction isn't great. But I've got plenty of lines on, but obviously it's slipped astern slightly. I think we're all right. I will pull the boat forward slightly. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so we've been touching there. So I need to rope us forward a bit. Well, the GoPro ran out of battery. I've just been sorting the boat out, but I was actually making myself seasick. I've actually been throwing up. because of the amount of pitch on the boat. Okay, so yeah, everything's a bit crazy here at the minute. I've got the boat in gear and ahead. I've got the boat in gear and ahead. Yeah, that's better. But now I can take up on these lines that are holding us forward. Guys, look at that. That is some serious shit. Right, I'll take them on the black one as well. I've got tons of lines on now, and I managed to get the boat away from the pontoon. Fortunately, it's not done any damage. It's just taken a little bit of the, scraped the wood a little bit. There's no damage to the hull or the gel coat or anything like that. And I've managed to motor forwards enough to take the slack off the lines. I'm going to get a life jacket on if I come back down here. But I think for the time being, I'm going to get off the pontoons and just hope for the best, I guess. Jesus wept. This is not nice. Right, that's even better. I've got multiple lines on now. I'm much happier with that. I've now got everything through the fair leads. The boat's being blown off, but is nice and tight to the pontoon. We're not rubbing against the pontoon anymore, and all the lines are good. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines on the boat. Flipping heck. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, guys. I'm just grabbing my phone to film because digging out memory cards and stuff is not a priority at the minute. Yeah, so I'm going to head up to the office. This will die down in a bit. When the tide drops, we'll be a lot more protected because it's a big tide here today. So it's exacerbated by the fact that it's high tide. Oh, that was hard work. Yeah, it was so bad in the boat. I suffer with seasickness anyway, and just going down below, starting the engine, doing this, doing that, I ended up throwing up. That was horrible. I've never been sick in a marina before, but honestly, that was awful. Well, yesterday was brutal. Today is a bit better. Doesn't seem to be any damage to anything. I did manage to rope the boat away from the edge of the pontoon, look. So, but yeah, it's no damage, just a bit of a scuff on the timber there. God, I actually made myself feel quite ill yesterday, being on the boat in all of that rocking. Woof. Anyway, today I've got my cardboard template here, look, because I'm going to go and, do you remember I showed you that EcoFlow Wave 3, the EcoFlow air conditioning and heating unit I showed you last week? Well, what I'm going to do now is make a washboard with the apertures in it for those pipes, the inlet and outlet, so that I can have a spare washboard to pop in place so that I can use it, you know, as and when needed. And the other thing I'm going to do today is take this back down to the boat. So I've got the legs on. It's looking cool. There's still a bit more to do to it, and there's still a few swirls, so I feel like I still need to polish it a bit more, but it's pretty amazing looking, I think. And I'm going to put some LEDs on the underside so that it's underlit with the LEDs, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much finished. It just needs, I need to just mull over whether I'm going to add more detail or add the LEDs or do anything else to it. But it's fine as it is, to be honest. I don't want to sort of overcomplicate things and make it more fussy than it needs to be. So that's going down to the boat. I'm just going to cut these washboards, and I'm going to do them in a smaller, in two halves, so that I can leave the one lower piece in. This is the lower washboard, which I can put my ducts in, but even this one's made in two pieces. I wonder, you know, if I can move these two a bit closer together and make a half washboard, so just a bottom strip with the two duct vents in for the air conditioner and the heater, and just take that bit out, because then when you're getting in and out, it's easier to step over this. You don't have to kind of keep lifting this one out to get in and out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Here's something I need some advice on. If anybody can help me, this is a Stanley Fat Max. It looks like a DeWalt. I think they're the same company. I've heard rumours that they are, but it's quite nice. It's battery, but what tends to happen, and I don't know why, is the blade keeps coming off the little roller and flicking across to the right or to the left sometimes. But it's like that whole unit seems to have a bit of like sideways play in it, and I don't get why, because whenever I'm making a cut, I'll look down and then realise that the blade isn't on the roller, it's over here, which is rubbish. So I constantly have to keep stopping and readjusting it. So if anybody knows what the fix is for that, or whether it's just that it's not a proper DeWalt, it's a cheap copy and it's garbage, throw it away and get the proper tool, then maybe that's the answer. But, yeah, if you know how to fix that, let me know. What are we after? Yeah, see, that's a brand new blade, sat perfectly on the roller with the groove in it. But then once I start cutting, there's a good chance it'll flick over like that. And I don't know how to fix it. I can't see anywhere to adjust that. I don't know if it's just that there's just natural play in it because it's not very expensive. I say not very expensive. I think they're 120 quid, you know, they're not like garbage. I'm wearing goggles. I also shouldn't be doing this job in my Jacob Collier hoodie, but I kind of lived in it for the last 2 years because I went there with my daughter, one of the best days of my life, going to see Jacob Collier with my amazing daughter, and I kind of live in this hoodie, so it's kind of got a bit battered, but there you go. I don't think Jacob would disapprove the fact that it's not just being hung up in a wardrobe, it's actually being used. Most of the time we'll still use the normal original washboard. This is just the piece that we drop in when we're somewhere where we want to use that particular heating system. So yeah, look at that. And I'll make this one in 2 pieces, so there's only that bit will stay in when you want to step in and out over the top of it. So you there, put you there. Why haven't I made this in Perspex, I hear you cry? Because I don't have any Perspex, I hear me answer. No, I think Perspex would be great, but I've got some plywood, so I'm making it in plywood. And if this works and it's a great solution, then yeah, I'll probably copy this in Perspex because it lets light in. Sometimes of the year, you want light in the saloon, and other times you like it nice and dark. I have a bit of claustrophobia, so I actually prefer not to sleep in the forepeak, so I tend to sleep in the saloon anyway, so I don't want loads of light in the saloon waking me up in the morning. but no, I do think Perspex would be a good idea for this. So if this turns out to be a good solution, then yeah, I'll probably do it in Perspex. This is actually really cool. So check this out. I've now got, you know, that's the original washboard top. This is the new one I've made split with the bottom half lower, so it's easy to step over. And I've got the vents and the ducting from the heater coming in through this washboard, so I haven't had to make any drastic changes to fiberglass or anything like that. That's just sat there because obviously it has a tube here that drips any condensated water, so that can just drip straight into the cockpit and down the cockpit drain, so that's fine. And I've got it running off the EcoFlow river. So I've got the EcoFlow Wave 3 air conditioning heater unit running off the river, which can run off its own solar panel. So that can spend all day charging off its own solar panel and then provide heat all evening to that. And that's fantastic. And of course, in here it's bone dry. So that wouldn't work if you've got a boat with a spray hood or, you know, and without an enclosed cockpit. You'd have to find another solution. But that's my solution, and it works fantastic for me. So that there is a brilliant combo. The EcoFlow River running the EcoFlow Wave, and that's powered by its solar panel. So that's pretty much free heating and free air conditioning. I mean, I don't know how long that'll run for off the little river power supply, but it's pulling 285 watts. So that's going to run for ages, absolutely ages. Oh, plus you can also get a battery for this air conditioner unit for the Wave 3, and it'll run for 8 hours on its own battery. So I think that's a brilliant solution. And look, this is the whole point. I can now push that back, take that out. Can you see? Yeah. Take that out, and that's no trouble to step over. So I can just get in like this without having to sort of step over the whole washboard. Oh, that's brilliant. And that's nice and warm already. And it's costing me nothing, because the EcoFlow River is charged up from the solar and it's running the heater. That's amazing. Yeah, so that wasn't really another ad for EcoFlow, but it kind of turned into one. Links in the description for all of this stuff, and they've still got the discount code which runs up until December the 31st. But if you've got a camper van or a garden shed even, and you want some heating in there, and you want air conditioning in there in the summer, or if you want air conditioning in your conservatory, wow, there's so many applications for this. You know, use your imagination. Boats, it works. Camper vans, can't see why not. Conservatories, garden sheds, anything like that. Even tents. You know, you could shove this in under the fly sheet of the tent. If you're camping somewhere really hot, you know, and you've got, you know, you're going out there with a van or a Land Rover, I think it's a great idea, you know. Right, back to work. I've just been to fetch the river table down, and it's literally, I mean, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? I need to tidy up the rest of the lounge to reflect the table, because the place is a bit of a tip at the minute. I think that looks really, really good. And this, honestly, I'm blown away. I've got it running at, yeah, so it's running at 400 watts now, heating up. And the little river's coping with it, you know. And I've got that set to 21 degrees. So I better shut the boards, because otherwise I'm trying to heat the whole marina. I've got something else to fit as well when it comes to heating. Yeah, I've got something else to fit as well, which I'm going to have a look at in a minute. I've got a modem for the Autoterm heater, which is, I'm all tangled up now. I've ordered one of these. Yeah, this thing. Can you see that? So that you put a SIM card in this, and there's the little antenna, and that just plugs in line with the cable for the diesel heater, so that you can start and stop your diesel heater just from your phone. I tell you who told me about it. You know, Chris Clark, who appears on the channel sometimes, the marine engineer. He's got the Autoterm heater in his camper van. And he's bought the modem for it, so when he wakes up in the morning and it's absolutely freezing and you don't want to get out from under your duvet, I mean, this is just so lazy. You start the heater from your phone and you put it on for half an hour before you peer out from under the duvet. So I'm going to have a go at fitting that. I thought I'll get one myself, because it is flipping cold at this time of year. You may notice this episode is quite a lot about heating, but you know, for good reason. So this cable here, this is the plug that comes off the back of the control unit inside the boat. You literally just pull that apart, and then there's a little wiring loom here, a T-shaped wiring loom. So one goes into there like that. Yeah, wrong way up. One goes into there like that, click. The other goes into there like that, click. I'm going to screw that. Oh, it's already getting a signal. So we've got a little green flashing light on there. Don't know if you can see. Can you see? Yeah, little green flashing light. I'll screw that onto there. And then this has got a self-adhesive. This is the antenna for the mobile side. So you can mount that there. I'm going to look at the instructions just to make sure I get the right place to mount that before I peel the back off it. But that means that not only can you turn it on from when you're in bed, of course, but you can turn it on if you're out for a meal and you want to put the heating on, you know, in your boat or in your camper van before you get back to it. So fab. I'll do that now. Let's just go and have a look at the app. Right, so App Store, Autoterm. Right, so it's the Autoterm Connect 2 app. You select the type of heater, you put the phone number in. The only thing you've got to make sure is that you have got voicemail disabled on the SIM card. There you go. That's dead simple. I've got my little Autoterm modem working now, which is, yeah, I mean, it's lazy if you're doing it from bed, but it is handy if you've been out for a meal and you want to get the boat nice and warm, especially when you've got kids living on the boat. Great. Lovely. I'm going to end the episode there, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a long one. Lots gone on. Sorry I didn't go sailing, but can you blame me? Would you sail in that? There's your thumbnail. Would you sail in this weather? I wouldn't. I know people that would. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our patrons, as always, for supporting us. If you want to support us through Patreon or Coffee, the links are in the description. If you want to get the Autoterm heater and all of that bits, they're all in the description, as well as are the EcoFlow Wave 3 and the River 3. Those are just fantastic. So we've got multiple options. You know, I'm all about the redundancy on this boat, and why not kind of delve into that stuff during the winter when we're not doing a whole lot of sailing. So yeah, see you next time, guys. It's Christmas pretty soon, so I don't know when the next episode's going to be. It might be next week. I'm trying to get back on schedule for every Wednesday, because I realise we've been a little bit kind of flaky and hit and miss. So it'd be nice to kind of get back onto a regular Wednesday thing, but we'll see about that. In any case, see you next time. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Leave us the likes and the comments, and yeah, if I don't see you before Christmas, have a fantastic one. Cheers. Bye.